Hello, it's Davey Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas, where I run the jazz guitar program. Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist. Got my 5 Sunnyside CDs here, and recorded a new one about a month and a half ago up in New York. The Big Orange Sheep, sequel to Benign Strangers. This one. So same cast of characters: Ko Omura, Glenn Zaleski, John Ellis, Matt Closey, Michael Perez Cisneros at the controls, and yeah, really excited about that. Just keep cranking out content, as they say these days. Also got 2 Mel Bay books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, Into the Labyrinth, An Anatomy of Position Playing for Jazz Guitar. I'm working on a new book as well on jazz phrasing. I was just messing with the first chapter this morning before doing this video. And let's see, what else? It is mid-August. The semester's actually getting ready to start, but your humble servant is on sabbatical, working on these projects and trying to recharge the batteries, so to speak. Good thing I'm solar powered, because it's about 100 degrees today, maybe getting up into the 105. So I just got back from Brazil, where it was not 100 degrees. Anyway, there's a lot going on, but I actually don't want to talk to you about all that stuff today. I want to talk about the tune All the Things You Are, the most uber standard of uber standards, and specifically this video that I did from these solo gigs I've been doing for a couple years now at in Sundance Square in Fort Worth. It's a really beautiful square in downtown Fort Worth, where I'll play solo guitar once a month, like a 3-hour set out there in the elements. Sometimes it's a little warm, sometimes it's a little cold, but I do my thing, y'all. Solo guitar, no looper pedal. I just get out there and try to do sort of Joe Pass-esque solo stuff. And I did this video of me playing All the Things You Are, sort of off-the-cuff arrangement, although I've been playing that song for so many years. And it actually, for me, is the equivalent of like a viral video, which means I got like way more views than I normally get. I'm almost at 4,000 and in like 2 weeks. So, it's not anything too crazy. But for me, it seemed like the video struck a chord, and somebody in the comments was like, why don't you do one of these Jazz Guitar Today videos talking about what you did in that when you played All the Things You Are. And I was like, it seems like a good thing to kind of delve into, because it's interesting. I play solo guitar, and I teach, part of the jazz guitar lessons here. Every student has to do a couple solo guitar arrangements, chord melody, as the term that we use a lot in jazz education. And gosh, I've done so many over the years, and when I play a 3-hour gig like that, I'm not actually performing like 3 hours of worked out arrangements. I don't have that kind of repertoire, and that would be, I don't know if it's really the right vibe too for that kind of setting. I'd probably play a few where I have the heads worked out, and every now and then I'll play an arrangement, but mostly it's just like a head arrangement, and then I'm improvising on the tune. So that's definitely what I did on this one, on All the Things You Are. It was kind of off the cuff, although a lot of what I do is based on when I was an undergrad here back in, 1998, spring of 99, fall of 98, I had this VHS cassette, a Joe Pass live solo concert at Brecon Jazz, Brecon. And this is really like, man, my favorite Joe Pass solo stuff. It's such a great concert. He opens with All the Things You Are. He plays this beautiful like Gershwin medley. He plays Beautiful Love, like one of my favorite versions of Beautiful Love. What else does he play? He plays this dizzy tune called That's Earl Brother. God, it's so good. And some of it is on, I don't have the VHS cassette anymore. I don't know if it's on DVD, but some of it's on YouTube, and you can find the All the Things You Are. You just type in like Joe Pass, All the Things You Are, Brecon, Brecon. I think it's from 1991. So very late. So a lot of what I do on the tune is kind of based on that. But I'll just go through, and I'll put in the notes or whatever on this video. I'll link to the video of me playing this, because like I said, it's improvised, so I remember some of it. I was watching it just now trying to remember everything I did. But anyway, All the Things You Are, if you don't know, a Jerome Kern song from, I think it's from 1939. Kind of just pulled that out of my head. I think that's right, though. And, you know, everybody, and as we say in New Orleans, everybody and their grandma has played this song. And literally, like some people, I think their grandmother probably played it, and then they played it too, if you could think about some of the jazz. Anyway, I can't think of anyone specifically right now, but I'm sure there's some folks out there where their grandma recorded it, and so did they at this point. But yeah, I mean, shoot, how many great sort of definitive versions of this one. One that I really am drawn to of my generation is the Brad Meldau live. Is it Art of the Trio Volume 4? I think he plays it in A. And it's in 7, and it was like when I was in school, it was really kind of blew everybody's mind the way he played so naturally in a really fast 7. And I remember thinking that, like, back in 2000, man, no one's ever going to do this again. This is really like, no one will ever be able to recreate this. And now it seems like that's just like, I tell my students, you just have to be able to do this as a baseline for how you play in odd meters. But anyway, just to go through the basic framework of the song, right, you got, most people play it in A flat. And this one's interesting in that it doesn't get a ton of variation in the chords. It's kind of just like, you know, as opposed to another uber standard like Stella by Starlight where you have a lot of variation. This song kind of just is what it is. I mean, you change the key, I think, sometimes for vocalists, but I don't know that many like variations on the chords other than people reharmonizing it. But we got F minor, B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat major, D flat major, and then like 2, 5 to C, or just 5 to C. That's the first 8 bars. Kind of similar to Fly Me to the Moon in a way. And then that C major becomes C minor, F minor, B flat 7, E flat major, A flat major, 2, 5 to G. So the same thing. Up a fifth. The second A is the same as the first A, up a fifth. And the bridge you get D7, I'm sorry, 2, 5 to G major, then a 2, 5 to E major. And then this G sharp in the melody on the E major becomes A flat of a sort of C7 augmented, or just kind of an augmented chord. And that takes you back to F minor for the last A. And just for a second, because I want to talk about what I played, but just to talk about the enharmonic modulation there, which I believe what Jerome Kern called it, you know, the idea that G sharp, the third of E, becomes A flat, which is like the minor third of F minor. And it always trips me out because it sounds like this is a different note when he goes. But it's the same note, and whenever I like sing the song in the shower, I want it to be a different note, but it's the same. So Jerome Kern, that's one of his like his famous tricks that he does in a lot of other tunes, to kind of trick your ear. And then the last day is like the first day. There's a little coda. From the D flat major, it goes to D flat minor, C minor, or A flat over C, as Barry Harris would admonish you. Don't call it C minor 9. C minor 7 or A flat over C. E diminished, 2, 5 to A flat. So when I was playing this, some things I borrow from the Joe Pass Brecon Jazz. You know, I start off like, first of all, I feel like when I play the F minor, I don't use this chord anymore. I don't play the 5th. But I do play this chord, kind of B flat minor. E flat 7, and again, I don't really play this chord anymore. I'd rather play this chord. I'd rather make it like a sus with the major third, but I do this thing Joe Pass does. So E flat 7, or E flat over D. I'm sorry, E flat over D flat. So it's like a E flat 7 in the third inversion, and then sort of an A flat with major 7 with C in the bass. And I think Joe Pass in there somewhere, he also makes it like puts an E natural, so he kind of goes. And when I go to D flat major, I always kind of do this thing. Again, rather than having the 5th there, I'll finger it like this, so I have this like mess around note on the third string that I can do. And so then from that D flat, I'm going to a D minor, to G7, and this song really like is an ideal vehicle for tritone substitution. So like here I'm going, kind of put an A flat 7 before the G7, then I can play a D flat 7 again to C. And really like from the beginning of the A section, if I wanted to, if I'm showing a student about tritone substitution, I could go F minor, E7, B flat minor, E7, E flat 7, A7, A flat major 7. So right there, just taking, basically, F minor going to B flat. If I think of that F minor as like an F7, which is 5 of B flat, the tritone sub of F7 is B7. So it's a good way to create some bass movement, although you don't want to really overdo it. That's a little lick. I think I remember Howard Alden showed me that like 25 years ago. A lot of years ago. I remember in UNO, kind of going up the diatonic 7th chords in a key, but having that little mess around note on the third string. That's another thing Joe Pass does a lot. So on the A section, instead of going to E flat 7 to A flat, you go like F minor, B flat minor, E minor, A7, A flat major 7. And I think of that as like a tritone sub of the whole 2-5. So instead of B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat, you go E minor, A7, A flat. And so you can do that in the second A. That's what I was just doing there. You could either start on B flat 7, move it up to B minor E7, or just go right to B minor E7. So like, and look, so you can use simple chords, and that's something I think Joe Pass did. He didn't do a lot of like crazy stretch chords. I'm just using good old like cowboy E7 there, but it sounds cool in the context. Another E flat 7. I think. Trying to think of the stuff I did there. Some of it's just kind of these automatic little figures I do in my left hand. So what was that? That was like when I got to the A flat, I went to this thing. It's like an arpeggio of an A flat 9 chord. Get a tritone sub A minor 7 flat 5. I can bring my 7th string in. A flat 7, tritone sub of D7. G major, and I remember I went to get to the bridge. I went G major, C major, B minor, then like a B flat 7. And I think I was going. I was trying to move this around for some reason. This A minor 7 flat 5, moving it around in minor thirds, and kind of I always think of that as planing, like you take a specific voice and you just move it around. In this case, just that little bar, it kind of has it's not quite diminished. I should look that up, but at some point, getting a lot of tritone subs. this is sort of just a half step above E major, and then some fourths, like a C7 sharp 9. I think I did some of that on. And I like this voicing for like the C minor. So that was D flat major, just kind of boring up here, to the D flat minor, G flat 7, and then it's a nice voicing for like a A flat major over C, or I could go. I could also leave the G open there. I might have done that one time. So the last bit of melody, B flat minor, again like a tritone sub, E7, E flat 7, A7 tritone sub, and then I went to, oops, I didn't do that, I went, okay. And this kind of just occurred to me at the moment, because sometimes when I end a song, instead of ending, you know, say if a song ends on the root, like A flat major, one ending, like at the very end of a song, you could go up a half step, right, play A major 7. That's kind of got a vibe if you have. But a little variation on that is to go to the relative minor. So if you were ending, say it's the very end of all the things you are, F sharp minor 9. It's kind of a cool vibe. So that occurred to me because I'm making this up on the spot and I'm playing rubato. So playing that F sharp minor to B7 and then just going right back into the tune. And I thought that that had a little Jerome Kern kind of miss to it. And then that note starts to sound like a different note because you're kind of going from a G sharp to an A flat. Little harmonic modulation. And then I think I went through it again, and I might have done a few different variations, or done the same things in different places. You know, maybe put in some, I think I put in some single note fills. Because, you know, Joe Pass has these amazing single note fills that he does with fingers too. You know, I actually have my pick over here because I can't. I used to try to do, you know, finger style, but I just don't have that facility. It really hangs me up if I don't have my pick. And also I have nails. Joe Pass played with flesh, so it really, like, the idea is that the pick and the flesh of these nails on these fingers here kind of have a similar sound. What am I doing? Oh, it's going to the bridge. At some point I play that chord, you know, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 with the second string open. And I move those chords around sort of in a planing thing. At one point I think just a big C augmented that takes you back to A flat, C augmented arpeggio. And then at some point, I think I do 2 choruses, rubato, and then I go to like bossa nova and kind of try to keep the same thing going with a lot of the same ideas with the bossa. And for me, the bossa, I guess the rhythmic pattern is based on partito alto and checking out Joel's Roberto. I have other videos about that if you want to go through my channel, Davey Mooney Music. But basically, the most important thing I think is keeping the bass on 1 and 3. You know, and not syncopating the bass. is in the chordal part. And then I improvise over it in the bossa style. And you know, when I'm improvising over these tunes solo, I kind of think of it like juggling. And that I don't really keep everything going at the same time, but I sort of want it to sound like I'm doing that. So it's a lot of illusion, but... So if I play a single note line, I can't make it that long before I put a chord in. The same thing if I'm playing chords for a while. I can put some single notes in. And a lot of the time, part of the way that I create that illusion is if I say I resolve a line on a specific note, I try to find a chord that enables me to sustain that higher note and then just put the chord beneath it. So like if I'm going... and so forth. So, you know, that's kind of explaining a lot of what I did on that video and what I do in general when I sit out there and play solo guitar for 3 hours. And, you know, eventually, it's just a physically demanding thing, right? Hand gets tired. Left hand in particular, after I feel like an hour is perfect for solo guitar. Or maybe 2, but that 3rd hour, man, sometimes. Sometimes I get in the zone and it's just, it feels easier, but then sometimes, man, I'm just like dying physically in my hands. But anyway, I'll put a link to the video so you can check out what I did. I got a good camera angle, or a pretty good camera angle, with my limited ability to use technology. But yeah, check it out in all the things you are. You know, it's a uber standard. If you don't know all the things you are and you want to be a jazz musician, you should try to rectify that as quickly as you can, because that's when you got to know y'all. So anyway, all right, thanks y'all. Thanks for listening.